Scorpio, something dangerous is approaching and you must be alert. Between November 11th and 13th, 2025, you will stand at the edge of a powerful spiritual storm that carries both risk and divine revelation. This is your wake-up call. If you're watching this now, it's not by accident. You're not here by coincidence. Something greater, something sacred has guided you to this moment. Whether you arrived by curiosity or synchronicity, know this: you were meant to be here. You were called. And if you're willing to listen with your soul, what follows may change everything. Scorpio, can you feel it? That quiet hum under the surface of your daily life? The way your dreams have become more vivid lately, or how your intuition has sharpened, whispering truths no one else can hear? These are not random. They are signals. Divine clues that a shift is underway. The energy around you is intensifying, and for a sign like yours, so intimately tied to death, rebirth, and transformation, this moment could be one of your most defining. From the alignment of Uranus and Mercury to the lunar passages triggering your 8th house of mystery, this is not a minor celestial event. It's a spiritual confrontation. A sacred detour. Something you thought was buried may rise again. A person, a truth, a temptation, and how you respond will determine whether you are consumed by the storm or lifted through it. But make no mistake. This is not about fear. This is about faith. This is about stepping into your soul's true power, even when the sky is dark. And Scorpio, you were built for this. You were born to walk into fire and emerge changed. Scripture tells us in Psalm 91 verse 4, "He will cover you with his feathers, and under his wings you will find refuge." When the world shakes, when shadows rise, when you're not sure what to hold on to that. Hold on to the knowing that you are divinely protected, and that nothing is sent to destroy you unless it first teaches you how to rise. This message is not just a horoscope forecast. It's a spiritual roadmap. We will explore the energies coming for you across love, finances, health, and your inner world. We'll decode the tarot cards speaking directly to your soul, interpret the planetary warnings, and offer practical steps for grounding, healing, and choosing your path with clarity. But before we begin, let me take a quiet moment to thank you sincerely for being here. For every like, every comment you share, every time you subscribe or return to this channel, you're not just supporting a message, you're becoming part of a sacred circle of seekers, of believers, of those ready to align with their purpose. Your presence helps carry this light further, and it means the world to me. So please, don't forget to leave a comment below and let me know. Can you feel it too? Are you sensing something approaching? I invite you to write, "I choose to walk through the storm in faith," as a way of affirming your inner strength and anchoring your energy in what's to come. Scorpio, the journey we're about to take together is not ordinary. The truth that's about to be revealed may challenge you, but it will also empower you. So stay close. Stay grounded. And above all, stay open. Now, take a deep breath. And let's begin. Scorpio, as we move deeper into this journey together, I invite you to pause for just a moment and feel the air around you, not with your skin, but with your spirit. Do you sense the quiet stirring? The subtle shift beneath the surface? This is not coincidence. What you're feeling is the formation of a celestial storm, and your soul knows it before your mind fully understands. In this part of the journey, we're entering the energetic landscape that spans November 11th through 13th, a time when the stars do not merely shimmer, they pulse with urgent purpose. Something profound is taking shape. Something that demands your awareness, your courage, and most of all, your trust. Uranus, the planet of upheaval and divine disruption, is currently sending seismic energy through your chart. Its influence is like lightning in the distance, sudden, sharp, unignorable. Uranus doesn't ask for permission, it delivers change whether you're ready or not. But here's the beauty buried in the chaos: this kind of energy doesn't destroy unless destruction is required for transformation. Uranus is moving in ways that challenge your stability, possibly around relationships, unresolved past patterns, or suppressed truths. It asks you, what are you still clinging to that no longer serves who you're becoming? Meanwhile, Mercury, the messenger of the skies, forms a volatile angle with Uranus. This is the celestial equivalent of sudden news, a harsh truth revealed, or a message from someone you thought was gone for good. It may show up as a conversation you weren't prepared for, or an emotional memory that resurfaces with full force. There is no room for pretense during these 3 days. The cosmos is stripping away illusions. If someone or something reappears, do not rush to assign meaning. Sit with the energy. Ask yourself, is this a test, a lesson, or a release? All the while, the moon, your emotional compass, is journeying through the darker waters of your chart, illuminating the spaces you usually keep hidden. It's as if the moon is holding a lantern deep within your subconscious, asking you to look at what you've been avoiding. You may feel more vulnerable, more reactive, or unexpectedly exposed. But vulnerability isn't weakness, Scorpio, it's the gateway to healing. And healing begins when we stop pretending we're fine and allow the storm to cleanse what no longer aligns with the truth of who we are. This energy is raw. It is real. But it is also sacred. Imagine yourself crossing a suspended bridge between two cliffs. One represents your past, the other, your becoming. Below you is fog, uncertainty, the unknown. And yet above you, the stars form a map only your intuition can read. This is not a bridge for the faint of heart. It is a soul bridge. Each step forward is an act of surrender, each breath a choice to keep moving even when clarity has not yet arrived. The numbers 13 and 22 resonate deeply during this time. 13, often misunderstood, is not a number of fear, it is the number of endings that lead to regeneration. It is the sacred breaking point. The falling tower. The letting go. And 22 is the number of the master builder. It does not destroy without reason. It lays new foundations from spiritual blueprints written long ago. These aren't just dates on a calendar. They're coordinates to a higher version of you. You weren't just born to endure these energies, you were chosen to work with them. And so, Scorpio, if your heart feels heavy, if your sleep is restless, if old wounds rise like ghosts in the night, don't run. Stay. Witness. The storm doesn't come to shatter you. It comes to show you what cannot be broken. And in moments like these, where the outer world seems uncertain, remember the quiet stillness of faith. Even when clarity hasn't come, even when the bridge shakes, you are being carried. The universe doesn't ask you to figure it all out. It simply asks you to keep walking. As you move through these 3 days, consider grounding yourself with rituals that reconnect you to Source. Light a candle. Write a letter you don't send. Breathe with the rhythm of the moon. Let your body speak the truths your mind has silenced. If prayer is part of your path, whisper Psalm 91 verse 4 as you rest, not just as protection, but as alignment. You are under sacred wings. Covered. Held. Loved. Now take another breath. Look up at the stars. They are not distant. They are inside you. And they are calling you forward. Scorpio, as we gently step into this next sacred space together, the winds of revelation begin to rise. You've already felt the storm forming, the subtle pressure, the silent tension building behind your everyday thoughts. And now, the tarot reveals what lies beneath that pressure, truths that have waited patiently to be seen. This isn't just a reading. It's a mirror held up to your soul, one that reflects what has been ignored, buried, or feared. The cards drawn for you now do not whisper softly. They speak with clarity, with conviction, and with compassion. Their message? You are ready. And it's time. The Tower arrives first, not as a threat, but as a truth bringer. Often misunderstood, this card is not about punishment. It's about liberation. The Tower does not fall because you failed. It falls because the structure beneath it was never meant to last. Maybe it was built from fear. Maybe from people-pleasing, or false beliefs about who you were supposed to be. When this card enters your reading, it's the soul's way of saying, let it fall. Let what is untrue collapse so that something authentic can rise in its place. This may look like a relationship ending, a job changing, or a long-held assumption breaking apart. And yes, that can feel like loss. But it's really the beginning of something deeply aligned. As the dust begins to settle, judgment appears not to judge you, but to awaken you. This card is a call from your higher self, echoing through every part of you that's been longing to come alive again. Have you been hearing inner nudges lately? Dreams you dismissed, passions you buried, whispers you tried to silence? Judgment asks you to pause and listen. Not with your ears, but with your entire being. This is your resurrection moment. Not from death, but from emotional numbness. It's the reminder that it's never too late to return to your purpose, never too late to choose again, and never too late to rise. And guiding you through this process is the High Priestess, Keeper of Mysteries, Protector of intuitive wisdom. She doesn't offer answers the way the mind wants them. She invites you into stillness, into trust. When this card comes forward, it means that not everything is meant to be understood intellectually. Some things, the most important things, must be felt, sensed, and received. Perhaps you've been pushing for clarity, but clarity doesn't always arrive on demand. Sometimes, it arrives when you create enough space for it. This is your invitation to get quiet. To notice the dreams, the synchronicities, the subtle messages in everyday life. The High Priestess reminds you that your intuition is not broken. You just have to listen to it again. Finally, we meet the Five of Swords. A card that speaks of conflict, not always loud and external, but often quiet and psychological. It shows up when there's been deception, manipulation, or a power struggle, sometimes with others, but often within ourselves. This card asks you to examine where you've been giving your power away. Is someone in your life using guilt, confusion, or control to keep you small? Or is there a belief within you that keeps choosing familiar pain over unfamiliar freedom? The Five of Swords says, you don't have to win every battle. You only have to walk away from the ones that steal your peace. That choice is not weakness, it's wisdom. Together, these cards form a profound storyline: collapse, awakening, intuition, and release. And the beauty is, you don't have to face this alone. You have tools. You have awareness. And most importantly, you have the ability to participate in your own transformation. One healing ritual I invite you to try is simple yet sacred. Write down on paper the thought, belief, or memory you are finally ready to release. Speak it out loud if you feel safe to do so. And on the night of November 13th, burn that paper as a physical act of letting go. Watch the smoke rise and say, "This no longer lives in me. I am free." You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to rush. You just need to honor the truth as it rises. That's what this part of the journey is about. Not pretending. Not resisting. But gently, bravely, making space for the life that's meant for you. The one that begins where illusions end. And Scorpio, you are ready. When the sky darkens and the winds of emotion grow loud, it's natural to ask, how do I get through this? Scorpio, the energy surrounding you during this period is not just intense, it's initiatory. It doesn't ask you to pretend to be strong. It asks you to become stronger by softening, by choosing awareness over avoidance, and by shifting your focus from surviving the storm to learning from it. And this phase of your journey is where the healing begins, not with grand gestures, but with quiet clarity and conscious choices. Perhaps someone from your past is knocking again, wearing a familiar face but carrying the same energy you worked so hard to leave behind. It's not always obvious at first. Manipulators don't walk in with a label. They arrive wrapped in nostalgia, unfinished conversations, or "let's just talk" messages. But here is where the wisdom of judgment becomes your shield. That card is not just about dramatic awakenings. It's about spiritual discernment, the ability to step back, breathe, and ask yourself, is this returning because it's meant for me? Or because I haven't fully let it go? Or maybe it's not a person. Maybe it's a financial decision that appears promising but feels off somewhere deep in your gut. A quick deal. An urgent deadline. An emotional pitch. This is where the High Priestess whispers to you, trust what you know without knowing how you know it. Logic is not your only tool. Scorpio, your intuition is a living compass. It picks up signals that the conscious mind can't always explain. If something sounds right but feels wrong, trust the feeling. Step back. You lose nothing by waiting. You gain everything by listening to yourself. Sometimes, the danger isn't external. Sometimes, it erupts from within. Emotions that have been pushed down for too long begin to rise fast, fiery, and without filter. And suddenly you're caught in a conflict with someone you love, saying words you wish you could take back, feeling things you didn't know still lived inside you. Scorpio, you are water deep, powerful, transformative. But even water needs containment. This is your moment to become the observer, not the reactor. Sit with your storm. Give it space. 10 minutes of silence, 15 minutes of breathing to 528 Hz frequencies, or a slow walk among the trees can change your entire frequency. The storm doesn't need to be fought. It needs to be honored and held. And this healing is not just about emotion, it's about your body, too. Your nervous system is a mirror of your energetic system. When you flood it with caffeine, sugar, or excessive stimulation, especially during emotionally volatile periods, you make the waves harder to surf. Choose instead what nourishes your steadiness. Deep leafy greens that ground. Clean water that clears. Warm foods that comfort without numbing. Avoid processed chaos on your plate the same way you avoid emotional chaos in your relationships. Movement is medicine, but not the kind that punishes. Try gentle yoga that lets your breath guide your body. Or simply walk. Slowly. Deliberately. Let each step reconnect you to yourself. You don't need to fix your entire life in one moment. You just need to return to your center one breath at a time. Even color can be a tool. During this period, surround yourself with deep navy blue in your clothing, your bed sheets, your journal. It holds the energy of protection, serenity, and inner wisdom. Let it be a visual reminder that you are supported, that clarity is coming, and that you are never truly lost. Scorpio, the path through the storm is not about force. It's about attention. It's about noticing what the storm reveals, not just about the world, but about you. What you allow. What you fear. What you're finally ready to release. Healing doesn't always happen in calm weather. Sometimes, it happens in the very heart of the downpour. And you brave, deep, soul-stirring Scorpio are capable of walking through it and coming out more whole than ever before. Scorpio, by now you may have noticed how the energies of this period are designed not to break you, but to awaken you. And as we shift our focus from emotional storms to the realm of finances and career, that same undercurrent of transformation continues. There is a quiet yet potent message rising beneath the noise of deadlines, numbers, and promises, and it says this: discernment is your greatest currency right now. You're not just being asked to make decisions. You're being asked to see through them. To recognize the difference between glitter and gold, between pressure and purpose, between an offer and a trap. This period may bring forth unexpected financial proposals, collaborations that seem exciting, contracts that flash quick success, or even sudden opportunities that feel too perfectly timed to ignore. And while some of these may indeed be aligned with your growth, others are simply tests cloaked in temptation. This is where your Scorpio gift of perception becomes essential. Read between the lines. Listen not just to what is being said, but to what is not. Does it feel rushed? Are you being encouraged to leap without space to reflect? Does something in your gut feel uncertain even if the numbers look promising? The alignment between Mercury and Uranus right now suggests a tendency towards sudden movement, but sudden doesn't always mean smart. If anything requires your signature, your commitment, or your trust during these 3 days, pause. Let the wave pass. Breathe. And return when the sky clears. This isn't about mistrust. It's about mastery. Mastery of your own energetic boundaries. Mastery of saying, let me sit with this. Because real opportunities, the ones truly meant for you, do not expire under pressure. They wait for your clarity. And clarity often arrives in the stillness that follows the storm. Now, here's the beauty beneath the caution. Something better may already be forming just beyond the fog. After November 13th, new doors begin to creak open, ones you may not even know exist yet. They don't come with flashing signs. They come with quiet alignment. A job opportunity that feels nourishing. A financial path that respects your integrity. A new role or project that excites not just your ambition, but your soul. But in order to make space for that, you may have to gently release what has felt heavy, stagnant, or misaligned. If your current work makes you feel like you're shrinking instead of expanding, take this as a sign. Not to act recklessly, but to reimagine your path. You are not stuck. You are being recalibrated. Now more than ever, this is the time to return to the law of attraction in its truest form, not just as a tool to wish for more, but as a conscious practice to become more. Start small. Each night before bed, write down 5 things you're grateful for, even if they're tiny. Gratitude rewires your frequency. It tells the universe, I am already in abundance. And from that space, abundance flows. Set your intention clearly, gently, powerfully. Not out of lack, but out of trust. Speak the words, I am a divine channel for prosperity. Say them not like a wish, but like a truth your future self already lives inside. You are not chasing wealth. You are creating space for it to meet you where you are emotionally centered, spiritually aware, and practically grounded. Remember, Scorpio, abundance is not just about income. It's about alignment. It's about knowing your worth, honoring your energy, and refusing to negotiate your peace for a promise that doesn't feel right. This is your season not just to survive in your career, but to evolve within it. And as you continue walking this path, guided by clarity, commitment, and your ever-faithful intuition, know this, every right decision you make now is building a future you'll be proud to call your own. Scorpio, after the waves of inner confrontation, financial discernment, and emotional release, we now arrive at one of the most sacred chambers of this journey: love and family. This is where the echoes of the storm meet the quiet of the heart, and where truth becomes a balm, not a blade. If you felt like something in your love life or family dynamic has been shifting just beneath the surface like an energy you can't quite name, but can't ignore either, that's because it is. And this part of the reading is not here to warn you. It's here to invite you to see the truth not as a threat, but as a way through. For some of you, a past connection may resurface, wearing the face of familiarity but carrying the unresolved weight of everything you once left behind. Whether it's an old partner reaching out, or simply the memory of someone who still lives in the corner of your thoughts, this moment is asking you not to react, but to reflect. Ask yourself, am I longing for this person, or am I longing for a version of myself I once was with them? Sometimes, we confuse unfinished energy with destiny. But in truth, the return of the past is not always about reunion. It's often about release. If you're currently in a relationship, this time brings a quiet, almost invisible invitation to look inward. Not to question the other person, but to explore yourself within the dynamic. Are you being fully seen? Fully heard? Fully you? Or have you been shape-shifting to maintain harmony while sacrificing your truth? The planetary influences over these 3 days encourage direct but gentle conversation. Instead of tension, choose transparency. Speak not to blame, but to be known. Relationships, especially those built to last, don't thrive on silence. They bloom through honest vulnerability. If conflict arises, don't rush to fix it or flee from it. Let your heart lead, not your fear. And remember, not all storms come to destroy. Some come to clear the air so something truer can grow. For those who are single, this is not a waiting room. This is a return to self. Real love, the kind that sees your soul and doesn't ask you to dim it, begins when you no longer chase it from a place of lack. The connection you're hoping for, that deep, resonant, soulful meeting, cannot find you while you're still holding space for someone who couldn't meet your worth. Release is not rejection. It is sacred preparation. Once you begin loving yourself not as a project to fix, but as a being to cherish, you shift the entire frequency of what and who is drawn into your life. There is a very real possibility that someone new, someone profoundly aligned, may appear shortly after this release. But even if they don't arrive immediately, trust this: the more you pour into your own wholeness, the more you become magnetic to a love that reflects it. Within family, the energy is equally tender and powerful. This may be a time when old wounds resurface, or long-standing tensions come up for air. You may find yourself revisiting childhood dynamics, unresolved grievances, or unspoken sadness that still sits like dust on the shelves of your memory. And yet, in this space, you are not just a participant. You are a potential peacemaker. You are the one being invited to hold a new tone, not by fixing others, but by showing what it means to choose grace over grudges. This doesn't mean tolerating harmful behavior. It means choosing to no longer carry what doesn't belong to you. Forgiveness is not about forgetting. It's about freeing yourself from the emotional contract that keeps you tied to pain. Whether love or family, the common thread here is choice. You are not bound by your past. You are not defined by someone else's inability to meet you. You are not obligated to stay in places where your spirit cannot breathe. But you are always empowered to choose love, not just the romantic kind, but the kind that begins within, expands outward, and heals everything it touches. So as you move through this phase, take time to return to yourself. Journal what you're truly feeling. Ask your heart, what would love do here? Not fear, not pride, not habit, but love. And let that answer guide your steps. Sometimes love says stay. Sometimes love says go. Sometimes love says wait until the moment is honest enough to hold what you're ready to share. But always, always, love says, begin with me. Right here. Right now. And let everything else rise from there. Scorpio, as this sacred message begins to settle in your heart, I want to remind you of something so simple and yet so easy to forget when storms are near. You are not powerless. You are not drifting. You are not alone. The energies that have surrounded you, whether chaotic, revealing, or intensely emotional, were never here to break you. They were here to awaken you. You may not be able to control the winds, the timing, or the outcomes, but you can always choose how you respond. And in that choice, you reclaim your power. This moment, the space between knowing and becoming, is where miracles are born. But not the kind that fall from the sky without your participation. The miracles that matter are the ones you help create by showing up fully for your own life. So I ask you now, Scorpio, what are you ready to let go of? What are you finally brave enough to face? What would change if you believed even a little more in your right to healing, to truth, to a life that reflects the depth of who you are? You've walked through the tower's collapse. You've sat with your inner voice in silence. You've heard the invitations, warnings, and affirmations in the messages from the cards, the stars, and your own soul. But none of that matters if you don't take the next step. Will you choose faith over fear? Will you slow down and listen before you leap? Will you speak your truth with love first to yourself, and then to others? Because here's what I know, you are not here to stay stuck in cycles that wound. You are here to rise through them. You are here to bring light to the shadows. You are here to embody transformation so deeply that others begin to believe it's possible for them too. And if today is the day that you begin again, not perfectly, but powerfully, then let it be with intention. Let it be with love. So as we close this message, I invite you to pause. Place your hand on your heart. Breathe. Say to yourself, I am safe. I am chosen. I am being guided through this. These aren't just words. They are anchors. And even if you still feel the storm outside, your soul knows how to find calm inside. Please take a moment to comment below and affirm your path forward. I choose faith over fear. That one sentence can shift your vibration. It can ripple out into your day and beyond. And I would love to read your words, to know that this message touched something sacred in you. If you felt supported or seen today, I invite you to like this video not for numbers, but as an act of energy exchange. Subscribe to this channel, Miracle of the Sign, and turn on your notifications so that the next time the stars speak, you'll be here to receive the message. Your presence means more than you know. Every moment you spend here helps expand a community of light, of seekers, healers, believers, all rising together. So, Scorpio, will you walk through the storm as the same version of yourself, or will you emerge transformed? The choice, as always, is yours. And whatever you choose, may you never forget this: even in the eye of the storm, you are held, you are whole, and you are the miracle in motion.